Okay, cool. Alone. Like I was saying, trine in astrological terminology is basically when two signs are of the same element and there's a natural rapport between them, because they naturally their inherent energies are very compatible. They're very easy to understand each other, and so it's not going to take too much prodding for the Libra to get the Aquarius to understand their side. And in fact, Libra is the master at being able to convince other people, to persuade them. Being the cardinal air energy gives Libra an incredible ability to push forward with their mind, push forward with their words, get people to work together, get people to not work together. The ability of Libra to rationalize as well as to persuade is incredible, and one that Aquarius can learn a lot from, for sure. Libra, being so forthright and forward with their minds, teaches Aquarius another way to use all of that air energy, all of that ideation and abstract reasoning. And it's very interesting because Aquarius also loves to see Libra in action and to see their persuasion going on, because they understand not only their partner more, whether it's romantic, business, whatever, but also the person that Libra is charming. And indeed, when these two signs are together, and especially in the same room and work in the same crowd, if you will, man, they are amazing and dizzying even at how they are able to approach all these different people, have conversations with all these different people, and just get the entire room to work with them. It's such an interesting mix. You have, when it comes to air power, this is one of the most powerful air relationships there is. And in fact, in a lot of ways, I would say it's the most powerful. And I'm a Gemini at that. I guess I am also Aquarius. But fixed air and cardinal air, when a fixed and cardinal, the same element, come together, man, it's just I liken it to an army, you know? Fixed energy brings the brute force, the strength, the sheer ability to be tenacious. And cardinal brings, it's almost like the front guard, you know, the almost like a general at the front of the army, leading forward. And so these powers combined, it's incredible what they can accomplish. And that's, I think, one of the best parts about this relationship, is because they are trine, because they are two of the same element, they are going to have a lot of the same interests. Now, Aquarius is probably going to be a lot more interested in being alone and doing more research type, more scientific type. Could also be psychology, doesn't necessarily have to be the earth sciences or biology or anything like that. And it could be a lot of things, honestly. But that's the cool thing about this relationship, is they are going to have some very different interests as well. And sometimes Aquarius is going to want to be alone instead of going out to the party. That's important. It's very important that Libra does not try and conform them in that way. Libra is very persuasive, sometimes too persuasive. And Aquarius is one of the few people on this planet that they can't readily persuade if Aquarius doesn't feel like doing it. Again, Aquarius is also very easy. It's very easygoing and whatnot. But at the same time, when a fixed sign decides they're going to do something or not do something, there it is. And it's a lot better to just let it go at that point instead of trying to charm them. It doesn't mean that they don't love you or they don't think you're absolutely witty and charming and whatnot. It just means they don't want to go out at that point, you know? And indeed, maybe that alone time is really good for them. So we've talked about what Libra perhaps should not do, some of the challenges in this relationship, but let's talk about what Aquarius shouldn't do. So Aquarius has got to be direct in the sense of, whereas Libra can be passive-aggressive, Aquarius can be just silent, cold. I mean, again, think winter, think Saturn and Uranus, far out in distant space in relation to Earth. Aquarius can just be so distant that it doesn't even feel like they're there. Even for an air sign, that can be so disconcerting, and especially for Libra, who likes to have somebody there to kind of talk with, spar with, mentally conversate and whatnot, to throw ideas around and to bounce off of. Libra really needs a partner in that regard. And so Aquarius needs to understand that. Aquarius needs to understand that they're not meant to just be the cold, calculating, scientific one who happens to say really funny and quirky things sometimes to make Libra laugh. Aquarius needs to be there, emotionally present. That is so hard. For Libra and Aquarius both, that is very hard to be emotionally present and what's going on, but honestly it's harder for Aquarius, because Aquarius is so focused on the broader scale of things. I think it's important to note too that both Aquarius and Libra energies are said to be astrologically challenged energies in astrology. Does that make them bad? Absolutely not. We need our Libras, we need our Aquarius in the world to have nice balance. They're geniuses, absolutely geniuses. But it should be said, and I think there's a lot of, in all the studying that I've done, there's a lot of truth that points to there being tough relationships with the father for both Aquarius and Libra. And very often, especially in the case of Aquarius, it was a father who was quite cold and not emotionally available. And so, and hence how they, why their mind developed so much, because they, well, I don't know about hence, but there seems to be a link between not quite having a father figure there to direct you and to direct your thought, and freedom, intellectual freedom. There does seem to be some kind of link there. I don't know, it's very interesting. I don't know, I think it's chicken versus egg. Does energy come and then it produces that, or is that the outcome? I don't know, who knows. That's air theory, that's all for another time. But it should be noted that there does seem to be challenges with the father for both of these signs. And I think it's important to connect on that, because I think out of all the signs, these two signs can understand each other's position the most and really help to unlock some deeper emotional processes. Libra is probably going to be the leader in that regard, and that's good, because Libra, ironically, is very good at leading when their mind is all set, when they understand that, okay, this situation needs to be bettered, I know how to better it, I'm capable, no one else is here, I'm going to do it. As I always say, Libra is just as powerful as Aries, its partner sign, and is just as much a warrior. It's just that Libra goes about life in a much more harmonious, a much more mental, much more intellectual fashion. It doesn't make them any less strong. In fact, they're more strong as per understanding arguments, being able to craft arguments, get people to work together, and to do their bidding and whatnot. And so this is a really good project for Libra, is to get Aquarius to open up. Again, don't force them, but to get them to open up. And Aquarius really does, whether they know it or not, need and want that opening up, at the very least on subconscious levels. Because we all want to feel, and Aquarius has been taught to not feel, that it's not okay to feel, and that they have to essentially cut off their creative life supply of enthusiasm and excitement and whatnot because of a clinical worldview. Now, of course, this is a generalization, and the beautiful thing about both of these energies is, with all their challenges and whatnot, is that the higher manifestation, these energies are so playful, so open, emotionally effusive. Yes, they'll be eloquent about it, but at the end of the day, they will open up their emotions. It's not like air signs don't have emotions. We all pretty much have the same biology. We're just wired differently in how we perceive things and whatnot. And so, Aquarius and Libra, especially Aquarius, needs to open up. And Libra is so adept at getting people to move forward in their lives, because they're adept at helping balance out qualities in other people. If somebody else, their partner, is too forward, too aggressive, for example, Libra is so great at mitigating that, making things a lot more calm and peaceful. And in the case of Aquarius, since Aquarius is so cold and detached, once Libra doesn't take it personally, once they get to that point of, okay, I don't need to, this is how my Aquarian friend, partner, lover, whatever, that's just how they are. Once the Libra gets to that point, then they can bring out the life of Aquarius. And it's going to bring out their own life too, because that's how it works with Libra. First of all, what happens in the partner, or rather what they bring about in the partner, comes about through themselves as well. And so that really is the biggest challenge. And indeed, in the case of John Lennon and Yoko Ono, they actually had, I think, 1.5 years, 2 years, where they separated in the mid-70s. So they were together, I think, in total, 12 years, but there was a period of time, very strange for a relationship, but air signs, it's an Aquarius, most of all. This is going to be a different relationship, rather strange, rather different from the norms. And that's important. That's a good thing. Every relationship is unique, but this relationship especially needs to be unique. It needs to have the freedom of both of these very powerful individuals coming together to form a relationship, but still being powerful individuals, not just adopting the other person's ways of life and and thought process, which both signs can do. Libra admittedly a little bit more than Aquarius, but both signs can very much at their lower stages of manifestation without awareness, essentially. It's not anything to feel bad about. We've all been there. It's all about learning, making mistakes, really just learning opportunities and moving forward. I was about to say something. Right, but when both of these signs are very aware of themselves, aware of their mental processes, of their emotions, their body, their spiritual, their soul, um, man, they're just incredible, and they feed off of each other's energy, and they generate energy. It's a very powerful relationship indeed. And as I was saying, it's meant to be rather unorthodox. Lennon and Yoko split for a year and a half or so, and it was called his Lost Weekend. I think he dubbed it that, and it was basically him. Well, the specifics don't matter, but essentially they were apart. They came back together. It's interesting to note that Lennon, the Libra, had a companion the entire time who was, I'm pretty sure, if I read correctly, was chosen by Yoko to accompany him and whatnot. And so, perfect example of this relationship being very unorthodox, first of all. I mean, it's almost like choosing a concubine for your I don't know if they were married at that point, but your partner at the very least, and then sending him off. I mean, that's so Aquarius to do, and it's so Libra to have a companion at all times. But it was perfect for them because they reconciled, I want to say, a year and a half or so later, and everything from then on was solid. And so if you really want to get a lot of info and a lot of perspective on this relationship, check out their relationship. I really urge you to check out this documentary. I wish I could remember what it's called, but it's basically like the main Lennon documentary that came out about Imagine. And I believe it was posthumous. But it was so interesting to see their dynamic. It showed a lot of candid interactions between them. And it's just so fascinating to see relationship between two air signs. Exploring their example a little bit more, they both are artists, and they both understood each other's perspective, general outlook, and yet they also brought something the other person could not bring. The Aquarius in this case brought the theatrical, the absurd, the avant-garde, especially the avant-garde, artistic perspective. And in fact, that's where they first met, was through a art show of hers that Lennon attended, I believe in London. And then Lennon, of course, brought the artistic, the musical side of it, very Venusian in that. And of course, avant-garde and Aquarius goes hand in hand. Fascinating. Quick side note: Andre Breton was Aquarius, the founder, or one of the founders of Surrealism. Seemed relevant. I wonder if he was with the Libra. I don't know. But, man, when both these signs understand themselves, they understand their own mind. When it really comes down to it, they really understand their mind and can master it. They don't get used by their minds. That's the biggest challenge for air. I'm speaking from personal experience. It takes a long time, a lot of mistakes, a lot of gaffes to go through before you really understand your mind and its processes, and you can master it. And mastering it just simply means living naturally with it, living peacefully and harmoniously with it, not being thrown on benders and other really challenging things just because your mind is restless and wants something that it can't quite name, can't quite find. Once air understands, that's what it all comes down to. Both of these individuals, and neither of them can force the other one to understand. Because ultimately, no relationship can be like that. You have to have two individuals who are healthy and in their own presence to make a healthy relationship. That's very important for Libra to understand. If Aquarius is being too difficult and will not open up and be more lively, it might be time to let that go. And if Libra just will not learn the lessons of being independent and keeps clinging to the Aquarius to try and form their own identity, might be time to let that go. But it's not inevitable. It's all about awareness. And when you have two air signs, these signs are adept at being aware, at understanding. And when they understand themselves, they can understand their relationship. And so I really urge you to understand yourselves first, and then try and craft and mold the relationship together, not alone, together. Because that really is the only healthy way. That is the only way for it to be solid and to stand and not have to have any kind of hiccups later on, like, for example, a lost weekend or anything like that. But it all comes down to self-understanding and awareness. So if both of these signs are doing that, this relationship, whether romantic or business or friends or whatever, it's going to be incredible. It's going to be unstoppable. But if not, it's going to be challenging as hell, and all of these weird psychological things are going to creep in, and a lot of mental games are going to go on. So it's up to you to figure this out. But you really can't keep these two signs away from each other, no matter what the circumstances are. And even if it takes a little while, both of these signs are intent and indeed demand to understand more. And naturally their consciousness and their understanding of themselves and others is going to grow with that. Namaste. One last little thing. The playfulness, I have to say it one more time and let's elaborate on that. The playfulness between these two signs and the intellectual back and forth is incredible. There's just that natural understanding of each other, that natural ability to communicate to each other very smoothly and to just have fun. That's so important. These two signs are so focused on social justice. I forgot to mention that too. Libra is so focused on social justice, and Aquarius loves humanitarianism. It's necessary for both of these signs to make the world a better place, and especially through their mind and their conversation. Their communication, rather, in general. For Libra, conversation, but communication in general. When these two signs are working together, especially in a social cause, unstoppable, and they make this world just incredible. They really do. And they're gonna have fun while doing it. They're gonna be silly and crazy and just out there, and yet it's gonna make perfect sense. On the outside it may seem like madness, but on the inside it makes perfect sense. And again, I go back to the Lenins of the bagism. I don't know if you know about that, but basically when they put bags over themselves because they want to have complete pure communication. How funny, air sign. What a brilliant idea! I've always loved that.